So now that you know how to conjugate, I want to talk to you about stem changing verbs. So sometimes, remember when we have the stem, right? We take off the AR, the ER, or the IR ending, and what we're left with is called the stem. So let's go over this and I'll talk to you about what stem changing verbs actually are. All right, so we just to review, conjugation means to give the verb a subject, right? So all verbs start out with the infinitive form. So that's like to dance, which is bailar in Spanish, for example. And if I want to conjugate it to say I dance, you dance, he dances, right? We have to conjugate. We have to change the ending to make someone be doing it. Okay, so these are the steps. This is just a review. So first step is you take off the AR, like from bailar, you just take off the AR and you're left with the stem of BAIL. If you had an ER verb, you just take off the ER and you're left with the stem. If you have an IR verb, same process, take off the IR ending and you're left with the stem. Okay? This is called the stem. I'm saying it a lot of times so that it'll sink in because I want you to remember this is important. Now, in regular conjugation, we would just add a new ending to the stem, right? So if we put a new ending on of O to say yo bailo, that means I dance. Or yo como, that means I eat. And yo vivo means I live. Notice how it no longer means to dance, to eat, or to live. Now someone's doing it. If I put an A on the end of an AR verb, ella baila, that means she dances. But when it's an ER verb to say AL or ella, it'd be an E, okay? And I'm going to kind of stop there because this is all the conjugation notes. Hopefully you already know that different verb endings, right, that they change. You have your charts. What I really want to address right now is the stem will sometimes change, okay? So sometimes when you take off the AR, ER, or IR to conjugate, the stem will have a change in all of its forms except for the nosotros and vosotros forms. So let's see what that means. There's only three types of ways they can change. So if the infinitive started off with an O in it, that O might change to UE. If it started off with an E, it might change to IE. And if it started off with an E in there, it might change to an I. So the way we talk about these verbs in Spanish is we'll say, here's a new verb for you. This verb is an E to IE stem changer. So what you would know then, well, here's a good one right here. I guess I did an example. So jugar is a good example of an AR verb with a stem change. So this U, as soon as we see that it's a U, we know that the change is going to be to UE. So it starts off as a U, and when we conjugate, we're going to change that U to a UE. It's the only kind of change that an O or a U can undergo. So I have the verb jugar. It has a U in the stem. See, here's the stem right there. When I conjugate it, the U will change to UE. So instead of saying jugo to mean I play, and actually that means something else, so it doesn't even mean I play, you would have to write juego. See how the U changes to UE. And then yo juego, tú juegas, él juega, ella juega, ellos juegan. So all of those will have the stem change. But when I said it changes in all forms except for nosotros, that stands. So when you get to the nosotros form, you put it back to what it was originally. The U, like in jugar, goes back to its original stem form. So nosotros would be jugamos. Okay? Now here's an example of an ER verb. Okay, so tener is an ER verb, and it's an E to IE stem changer. Now, you can't just look at a verb and know if it has a stem change. Somebody would have to tell you as you're learning the language, hey, this is a stem changer. Okay, there's no way to know just by looking at them. But let's practice this one. So we have an ER ending, which we're going to take off and throw away, right, when we put the new ending on. But the point that we really want to focus on is this E right here in the stem. That stem vowel is going to change when we conjugate. So this E is going to change to IE. So you have tú tienes, ella tiene, ellos tienen. Okay, now this particular verb happens to be irregular in the yo form, but if you said tieno, you're on the right track, except this one's irregular, so this time you'll say tango. But if you thought in your head it should be yo tieno, you're thinking properly. That's the right way to think about it. I'm just letting you know this one's particularly irregular. So, All right. And then again, right, for nosotros, we would go back to its original tenemos. So here's an example of an E to I. Well, oh, you don't have any E to I yet. So this is another E to IE. Now, if you have two vowels, see, notice, look at, you take off the stem and take off the ending, and your stem has two vowels in it. The way you know which one should change is it's the closest one to the end. Okay, that's the rule of thumb. So always do the one that's closest to the end, and that's how you'll know which one to change. So I prefer, yo prefiero, tú prefieres, él prefiere, he prefers, ella prefiere, usted prefiere, ellos prefieren. But nosotros goes back to the original because the rule is that stem changers never change in the nosotros form. So this would be nosotros preferimos. Now, if you're looking at your charts and you want to see which ones are stem changers, you can tell right here. So, oh, I didn't put them on here. I'm gonna put them on here. Stem changer, or how should I put it? Okay, so this is how I'm going to indicate it on your chart. I'm going to make the purple ones be the stem changers. So when you look at them, now you can see the conjugations right here. You don't have to do any work. You can see them right next to it, but these are stem changers. And so then you can look right at your chart and know, and I'll do that on all the sheets. But right, you can see O to UE, O to UE. Then this one is E to IE. See how the E changes to IE right there. Okay, and then tenere we already went over. So that is what stem changers mean. And I'm going to want you to use these charts to answer the question.